Good morning, everybody. My name is Unova Brony, and welcome to the Crepuscularity Discuss podcast. This is episode 33. What makes a good headcanon? As you see here, I have my co-host Byter. Say hi.
Blarg.
And as a special treat for you guys today, we have we have a returning guest from the early days of CBD, ToonKritic.
What is up? ToonKritic's name. Toon's the name of my game.
Can you tell us a little information about yourself and what you've been doing as of late?
Besides being incredibly lazy and stories instead of my reviews, well, honestly, not a lot. Trying to get back into the swing reviews and stuff. It's a little bit harder than I thought. But yeah, I do reviews, let's plays, fanfic, readings. Yeah, I write stuff too. So, I'm sort of a variety person. I was on the podcast around, I think, like episode 7 and 9, I think.
Yep.
Yeah.
Give or take, yeah. So, this
He's an old
feels
veteran.
good to be back. Yeah.
And now a new guest for his first time ever, CloudSkyAnalysis.
We left the door open.
Can you tell us? Yeah, we left the door open and you decided to come in.
Well, just got into it.
Can you tell us a little information about yourself and what you do?
I'm starting off with some basics first, headcanons, theories, breakdown of episodes. I'm going to see if I take off from there. I've only got one video up at the moment. It isn't an analysis. It's a happy birthday to a friend of mine, but I'm sure I'll be able to get there someday. Depends how motivated I am. So that's all that's really to say. I'm not that interesting. Just your everyday guy.
Okay, and Chad Jade is not here because she is busy, as I previously stated in my announcement video. So, yeah, there's only going to be the 4 of us today.
Yeah, that's really.
Yeah, so let's move on to the topic we're here to discuss today: headcanons, or what makes. In order to start off, I suggest we talk about a little bit about like some of the bronies that decided to devote some of their time to create such headcanons. Who would like to start first?
Since I know barely anything about headcanon, you guys can go.
Don't pin this off, so I don't know.
I'm not actually one...
Someone is asking what a headcanon is.
Alright. Do you want to explain that, Unova?
Okay, yeah, I'll explain that. A headcanon about a work of fiction that you believe, evident or not, that an event you want to see happen will occur based on what evidence has been presented to you. Like predicting the future, or just thinking about like stories outside the boundaries of the present.
Actually, I have one that probably a lot of people can understand if they watch Doctor Who. I mean, it isn't pony related, but still, it can explain what a headcanon is. Well,
Yeah.
the Doctor Who Series 7, with the addition of Clara, and everybody wondering who she was, Tumblr flooded with a lot of headcanon theories. So like, okay, maybe she's this, maybe she's that, either this or that, support that. And I think that sort of goes in a way with ponies as well. When we were like trying to figure out, okay, what about maybe King Sombra had something going on in the past, maybe there's a secret relationship between Discord and Celestia. It's just all those little theories that you come up with. Or at least in some case, someone says, my headcanon is the Twilight is secretly a bagel. That's a good headcanon, I like that.
He's basically said everything I want to say, though. And it's a headcanon.
Yes, you could.
Anything that isn't explicitly in the show is, I guess, to some degree just a headcanon, something that someone adds into their own internalization of what the show is. And in fact, if you look at like MLP analysis community on Reddit, quite a large majority of that stuff is just talking about potential headcanons and questions about headcanons, like questions about the nature of Equestria, even if they haven't actually been answered in the show yet.
I think a headcanon is basically the same as what you just said, but it's given to us with every piece of information we're given. If there's a piece and a piece, and you put them together and it can make sense, that is a good headcanon. Because if you have a piece, and you have a piece that's only slightly relevant, then that could cause a lot of confusion to basically anyone you're telling your headcanon to.
To a degree, I mean, it depends very much on the nature of the question, which is very much what we're talking about, the what is a good headcanon. And people are going to have different things they're aiming for in a different headcanon. Well, what you're describing is obviously more kind of an internally consistent universe, i.e. we use our headcanon to make the universe make more sense, to explain more of how things operate in Equestria. I don't always think that's necessarily the best headcanon. Like, you can twist the universe to make it sort of make sense when they do something that doesn't make any sense, or, you know, something that's hard to fathom. But that's not necessarily... That's helping you internalize the universe. Yeah, sorry. What was that? You were saying something, so
Okay, I was just...
Oh, I didn't mean to interrupt, sorry.
Oh, okay.
Like I was saying, with the information we're given with us, because the writers, the animator, has given us information, but they haven't given us every little detail. Hence, why I think, you know, the head kind of territory. That's what I wanted to say.
Yeah. And I was saying, I agree that it is indeed, you're finding the best headcanon in the sense of trying to make the universe internally consistent, or trying to expand the lore to make it sound, to make the universe feel a tangible sense of greatness, from what we've got from the basic building blocks. One aspect I think is often most forgotten in headcanons, though, is often trying to make headcanon that create genuinely interesting stories within the MLP universe. You can describe the nature of Celestia or Luna or something like that, but if you're breaking the feel or tone of the universe, it's not so great.
Because when you bring magic into things, a lot of conspiracies just go... Because they can just use the excuse, it's magic. Then don't question it.
Yeah, to a degree, a lot of headcanons often actually say they rely on magic. Is there a delay on the Hangout, by the way?
Don't know. Mine's working perfectly fine.
Yeah.
So guys.
Yes or no? Okay.
Yeah. So some of our audiences are bringing up like headcanon ideas of like what they think may happen. So I think it may be interesting that we check them out and try to analyze them, see whether or not they're good headcanons or not. Okay. Alright, so the first one comes from Gentle Hoof Pegasus. My headcanon is that during Heartwarming Eve, Celestia and Luna did exist, and raised the sun and moon themselves somewhere away from the three tribes, and as such, weren't actually raising the sun and the moon.
Yeah,
So they were raising the sun and the moon, whilst Luna and Celestia were doing it elsewhere.
Yeah. I don't, they say that the unicorns were the ones who were responsible for the sun and moon. It may have been Celestia and Luna were unicorns at the time,
That's a tricky one. Hang on.
The thing is, though, I don't, in terms of...
This never really was made clear.
Yeah. They just said unicorns, though, so if it's Celestia and Luna, then they would have to be unicorns for what they said to be true, if indeed history is correct in the heartwarming Eve tale. I don't know why Celestia and Luna would not say, actually, it was us who was doing it. You know, why wouldn't it be clear if it was Celestia and Luna who are still around, you know, in the heartwarming Eve tale?
And also, here's another thing, like they only raise the sun and the moon once every year, sort of like Santa Claus. That's a bit stretching it. You can't make Celestia Moon and Santa figures.
That was made a lot of fan
This ain't happening.
A bit on canon.
Ooh, here's an interesting headcanon. I have a headcanon that Twilight's family is actually of high power in Camelot. Their daughter becoming a princess and their son a royal guard is pretty crazy for just a happenstance. And her babysitter a
Maybe it's for
princess.
Shaw.
That does seem a little suspicious. I mean, maybe it's just me, but when you put it like that...
That does sound a bit off.
Yeah.
We don't even know if Twilight's family is of, like, all that royalty or not. In fact, what do we know about Twilight's parents officially?
Officially, her mother is based on G1 Twilight.
Well, yeah, but do we know anything about them, like who they are, or their profession?
Nope.
One thing is, in at least the Hasbro canon, they have in the Cadence books, the reason why she is false-sitting Twilight. So it's sort of Celestia's gambit. Yeah, my computer is, I think it's straining at doing the live streaming service, unfortunately. I'll see if it gets used to it after a while, but
somebody's got the crappy internet.
no, actually the internet's fine. It's actually very good. It's the processor. Anyway, I was saying that in the official books on Cadence, they explain why she becomes a false-sitter for Twilight, because Celestia told Cadence to go and look after Twilight. So it's all just Celestia's Batman gambit, really.
So it's because the adoption process between Celestia and Cadence is basically, I'm busy, could you please go look after my students? And from then they become friends.
Oh, no, well, she's a false-sitter to the cutie markless Twilight. So she's not a student yet.
Oh yeah, it's pre-student, my mistake.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So she already knew Twilight was going to be special before she even got the initiation.
It might be an inside joke to previous generations, being G1 Twilight was apparently very important to the show. I haven't seen it.
She was like one of the first ponies in the first pony special, Rescue from Midnight Castle.
Yeah. That I did say because I saw Peggy's 45-minute project thing where it went over Generation 1.
Wait,
sorry.
No, it was Saber's
Mark.
Works.
I can't even think of it, I'm sorry.
Why did you guess Paleo?
Adrian did a 45-minute thing on why we should give MLP a chance, while Saber started the hour-and-a-half project for his,
No, it's not Paleo's project. He did it on his own free fruition. It was Saber's project, that documentary.
I like this chat. They come in with some good headcanons.
Yeah, it's really active.
Yeah.
Yesterday was a good day. Oh, here's a silly headcanon from Sonic the Dash.
Go for it.
In Magical Mystery Cure, when Celestia was singing, Twilight was teleported to Pinky's fourth wall zone, where she has all the episodes recorded in magical flat screens. The only reason Celestia was there is that she could keep her fourth wall. But that is another headcanon for another time.
Though this is what I said that okay, it sort of makes the universe feel more cohesive, but it doesn't actually make the universe have generally more greater feeling stories. In fact, it's sort of exaggerating that fourth wall breakage of Pinkie Pie to ludicrous levels.
I have a headcanon for this, but it's very silly.
Okay.
She got teleported into the computers at DHX, and that when they ran out of corn was part of a Don't Treasure Fair. I thought too flash.
Yeah, we lost by.
I'm going to turn off my camera to reduce some of the processingness. I'm still here.
Okay.
Oh, this is going to be weird. I have a duplicate.
Well, it's at the moment it's dropping frame.
So what's up next? Unless you still want to hang on this headcanon.
Well, here's a possible headcanon. Look Before You Sleep is the first time that Rarity and Applejack said more than a few words and patted each other.
Oh my. That's actually pretty smart. Like, considering how they react to each other, like, when they first encounter each other and they start to go off on a bad hoof, as it were. Yeah, before then, like, they never really talked to each other. Not even in Applebug season. Rarity didn't even say anything to, Applejack. It's one of the, some headcanons that are vague enough can actually work. That is your example, guys. It doesn't need to be like a long, expensive headcanon detailing every single mechanic inside of it. If it's vague enough and logical enough, it can work still.
Yeah. Oh god, here's an interesting one. Sombra used a love potion to get on the good side of the Fairy Queen of the Crystal Kingdom, but she stayed under the effect for too long, and it started to corrupt her. Before she was corrupted all the way, they had a baby. Cadence, being born from a love-poisoned mother, explains her special talent.
Okay.
That's a bit of a stretch.
Unless they're trying to use like evidence for parts and who stayed, but then how would the eloquent princess and however it doesn't explicitly say that.
There, we don't know who Cadence's parents
Well,
are.
according to the book on the Hasbro list, she was orphans. I can't remember, I haven't read it. I saw Rocky Rumpus' video on it, but I can't remember it off. You were saying earlier about vague headcanons working. I'm not too sure about this one.
Yeah.
Yeah, this one seems like a really big stretch.
Okay.
Yeah, sometimes headcanon is sounds.
Make a fanfiction. Whoever you are in the chat, because I don't have the chat, make a fanfic. It'll work.
Yeah,
Go party. Party.
Tigros Potty Stripes,
Party.
okay. Close enough.
Make a fanfic, do that will work.
Yeah. One thing that...
to the insectoid succubus we know and love and merge. that is a bad changeling. Oh my god.
I don't know,
They'll
dude.
win crystal ponies to avoid the
If-
crystal empire being devoured. Sombra used dark magic to replace all the love with fear and despair. Unfortunately, using dark magic comes at a price, and that's how Sombra became Sombra.
Wasn't they?
Okay, now you've just gone completely out the
Oh.
window.
It's not related to changeling.
Makes any sense.
This is what I'm saying that...
That's like trying to stretch a rubber band so much it breaks.
Yeah, this is what I'm saying, that sometimes, okay, you're making the ends meet and make it feel all connected, and lots of people love having a sort of everything being connected feel. Oh, gosh. There, I think it slows down when I speak. It can't process much speaking. Okay, I was saying, when people put too much together, it actually makes kind of for a stupid... I don't know, it makes the world silly sometimes, and it doesn't make for a great story. Oh, that's a really long one. Yeah.
Idea, connect, idea, connected.
One thing...
We like idea, collective, idea, collective.
Yeah. For example, though, Star Swirl, in the show itself, even, like, everything, a lot of things are now getting connected to Star Swirl, and people want to connect it to Star Swirl, and that does make everything interconnected. That does make... Oh, come on, stupid computer. Okay. That does make the thing interconnected, but it also... It makes the whole world revolve around one guy.
When it's supposed to revolve around the apprentices.
Well, I think you should just expand rather than just sticking to established characters.
Is that book released by Hasbro, set in Crepuscularity?
It's not
Normally it's like
wait. It lagged for me there. Dude, could you start again from the top? No, could you start again from the top?
You asking to start?
Could you start again from the top of what you were saying? Because it lagged for me.
Oh, okay. The book released by Hasbro, the one where the main Sith go to like an undersea world. I think it's called Equestria and Aqua. Is that canon? Because if it is, we can expand the map that's been released online.
Yeah, I want to expand the world and add more character and more history.
There was the map though. Yeah. I mean, we have the timeline, well, ish. We know that 999 years ago everything was fine. 1001 years ago everything was fine. But the gap of 1 year, invasions everywhere.
Yeah. 1,000's just sort of a year they like jumping to.
It was the dark year.
Yeah, apparently.
I think it was the evil force thought it would be a good idea to just spring up.
I'm thinking... T-Rex, that was the one. The one that started all these combinations. Trying to take over Equestria again.
Smooth or something? Yeah.
Lord Smooth. Basically, if you if you get contaminated by him, you'll be like very negative towards each other. G1. They may even make it more darker, like basically make them the complete opposite, even more than Discord.
Discord would be like the human incarnation of Smooth. Headcanon. Although there's a lot of headcanons about Discord, him having a relationship with Celestia, him secretly being Starspell the bearded. Starspell the Builder's how?
Yeah. Again, though, it's patching together elements rather than creating an original origin for the guy. Like, it being Starswell would be just sort of like, yeah, okay, I guessed it.
A long intermission, don't you think? Partly my fault, but anyway, continuing on. What were we talking about again, Byter?
Random headcanons and my crappy computer not working. So, yeah, I mean, what we've been doing is mostly just reading from the chatness, and during the intermission we've been talking about in Supercider CD 6000, the cider in their froths, and only alcohol froths when it's in cider. And some people have just said, you know, maybe it's just actually alcoholic, others said it's just an animation errors, and the more fun ones is just ponies are made of pure frothiness and sunshine. On the cider.
That's an interesting one.
Is the stream working good? Yep. Alright, as I said though, as I was trying to say earlier, I'm not sure if I was coming across very clear. Often when we do headcanons, it's always like patching together all the different villains and patching together all the little bits and pieces we know from history rather than necessarily creating a larger picture. Like Discord has to be descended from Starswell, even though we could just have you know, a completely new original character that really suits Discord as the origin character. It, in terms of headcanon, you're always making use of bits from the show originally, rather than necessarily making new content.
Oh, he's back.
ToonKritic's back. He'll be muted when he...
Alright, so sorry about that.
No problem, we're streaming again.
Oh, okay.
You've missed all of 30 seconds.
Yeah, pretty much.
Pretty much.
Right.
Yes. So I was saying that patching all of past history to Starswell, like every old magic book or item or interaction with any major character has to be with Starswell, or Starswell has to create all the big huge magical effects, or it has to be Celestia or Luna. Why isn't there any historical figures in the past? Like, it wasn't totally handled the best, but I liked a character of, like, for example, Snowflake. It's not necessarily a piece of headcanon, it's more just fan canon, but at least she inhabits the world and it's something we made up and she's her own new character.
I was going to say, I don't know who Raro is, but they've just put a massive paragraph in the chat.
Yes.
Oh, jeez. Hi.
That's Rara for you.
Raro.
Well, it gives us a lot of
So-
work off of.
Yeah.
So,
And yeah, it's always the big question people sort of patch together is always the Celestia, Luna, Twilight maybe, and Starsworld. Like, if you think even like Incros, people love her prior headcanon about the history of Celestia, Luna, Starsworld, and Discord, and that's all great and all, but it's not actually too relevant to what we're actually seeing on the show now. The show, the majority of it is actually just slice of life. One question, or one thing...
A bit too extreme, be it the Hydra, for example.
What about the Hydra?
You say it's slice of life, which it obviously is. It's the main sixes every day. It's just things like the Hydra. That's pretty extreme slice of life.
Yeah, but it's still, I mean, yeah, it has actionly elements, but it's still grounded, like, the focus of that episode isn't the Hydra. The Hydra is just a person has it, isn't it? The story isn't about them besting the Hydra. The story is about Pinkie Pie's Pinkie Sense thing, which some people have a problem with, of course. But yeah, that one's an odd episode in itself already. But yeah, they do already have like Dragon Shy. Yeah, go up to the big dragon.
That's a pretty extreme slice of life. I don't think I'd do that whilst I'm coming home from the shops.
Yeah, but again, even in that one, the majority of the episode is focused on them just doing the journey. And in the end, the big, huge thing is, Fluttershy doing something and seeing something about her character. The focus is on the characters.
The focus is on that.
Yeah.
These things that come up, like I mentioned, the Hydra, the dragon, they just are there when things happening. They aren't really the focus. They're just something that's there. I mean, the Hydra could have been at the swamp, which name completely goes over my head right now. But if it wasn't there, would it really have made a difference? It's just an added thing. It's not really confident. It's not really complicated. Byter, you are correct. I'd high five you to the internet.
Yeah. The thing is, one thing to remember that these are flipped or something, which is a bit weird. So you just high five ToonKritic on mine.
Wait, what?
I went that way.
Wait, who high-fived me? What?
I went this way.
This is on my screen doing it to the right. There we are.
Yeah. But
Yeah,
Unova's just to the camera works a lot better.
The thing I'm always sort of more interested in, and sort of at least for me, is instead of always faceting on to the past of the show, but trying to build an interesting future for it in terms of my headcanon. I always want to sort of think of, if you're going to introduce an element, how are you going to do it correctly in your headcanon? Like, one big huge thing that isn't very much addressed in headcanon that I think there's a lot of potential for in terms of expansion is the Crystal Empire and the Crystal Ponies. At the moment, there's practically nothing that identifies or we know anything about the Crystal Ponies. They are just sort of bland. But if there could have been ways to make or there's even ways to internalize the Crystal Ponies in their universe too. There's interesting questions about them to be answered, I think.
I've seen something interesting in the chat. Gilda took Iron Will lessons. She was like Fluttershy, but she took Iron Will lessons, and she's learned to stand her ground from there.
That actually kind of makes sense.
Yeah, by Pig Rose Spotty Stripes.
I kind of wish though that Iron Will's lessons didn't just turn everyone into a colossal jerk.
Yeah. I mean,
You think the guy would get a bit of a reputation that everyone who takes his lessons become a jerk, and that's not really going to be a good long-term business strategy.
Trixie probably took his lessons as well.
Actually, speaking of Trixie, I actually have a headcanon theory. This is one that I thought of ages ago. Okay, I'll just say it like this. What if, and this is, I got this also off of a picture as well. What if Trixie is actually Princess Luna's protege, like Twilight to Princess Celestia? The times she appeared in Ponyville to cause trouble were actually just her testing Twilight's abilities.
Yes, I've seen that as well, and I like that headcanon. It gives an approved sticker from me.
I'd like it as well.
I don't see what it adds thematically to the show, though, other than tying together characters and making Celestia's Batman gamuts even more Batman-y. Like, I don't care much for Celestia being Batman gamuts.
I mean, it's just the way that Luna looked at, like, Twilight in, I think, the Crystal Empire thing, and then all of a sudden Trixie shows up later. It's just, it can't help but make me think, like, maybe Luna did this to test her.
Yeah. Maybe
Luna could know about the Alicorn Amulet.
Everybody had a part in this. They were all, because of Celestia's thing of, I've watched you from the very first day. Okay, she's Alicorn, Supermarine being, etc., etc. But she couldn't train an everyday pony to become, like, her, I'm going to say, third in command, all by herself. So maybe Luna was in this, she had a part of this as well, and if the whole Trixie is Luna's student headcanon, is correct, she had a part in this too. She was testing the skills. If that's just a headcanon I enjoy.
If Trixie is indeed the student, she is very inept in terms of magic, or at least she doesn't have very much magical aptitude.
Let's face it, her teacher was locked in the moon for 1,000 years. She might be a bit rusty herself.
Yeah.
Maybe. Though I don't see why she can't just be a traveling performer. Does everything in Equestria, every single facet, relate to Equestria and her plans for Twilight? Is there anything that is not? Is there any just one character who's just a baker, or is it the Cakes secretly planning to train Twilight through Pinkie Pie's fourth wall breaking?
That would be
because it's a secret food in the cake.
It makes it seem like that Celestia has like pretty much every pony involved in like Twilight's journey. Like you're saying basically that there's barely any characters that are just there just to be there.
Well, there's no characters who are just their own.
Yeah.
If everybody was behind this, I would laugh incredibly hard because that would be hilarious. Just all these eyes watching her every day. But that's not completely true. There's just some people behind this, but there's everybody else leading their own lives.
So how much is the whole main six friendship thing behind actually meaningful? Like, is the main five all clustered around Twilight because they thought she was an awesome gal, or because they were ordered to?
I have a feeling that was the awesome gal thing, because let's face it, Twilight is an awesome gal.
So everyone was in the plan except for the main five.
Oh, no, not everyone. Not everyone.
If you think about it, they were assigned their duties for the summer solstice celebration by...
Except for Pinkie.
I guess. But they were assigned their duties, and Twilight was sent to meet with them by Celestia to make sure that their duties were going well. So Celestia was basically ordering Twilight to meet with the main five.
So, do we know Celestia who it's orders them? I would have thought the person who would know who to give those kind of orders to would be Mare.
But let's face it, in Lauren Faust's work, when has the mayor ever been useful?
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
The mayor at least sort of, I mean, didn't she make them the team leaders in the winter wrap-up, even though they weren't doing such a great job?
Like
you said, not a great job.
Yeah, but they were still the team leaders. They were still the ones with the highest aptitude, and they seemed to have enough aptitude for the thing. Still, here's a question here. I mean, is it a good headcanon to try and theorize or build up in the universe where Celestia is orchestrating everything?
Well,
does that the show? It makes it all connected, but does that make it feel better? For me, no.
Well, I think once you figure out everything, like once it's revealed, like it was planned all from the beginning. It started from the beginning. It feels like, okay, so I get that everything is connected, but did it need to be? Couldn't everything have just been like spontaneous or whatever?
Yeah.
Could anything just be like down to pure luck, happenstance, or chance, like real life?
Right.
And I started to find the value of the journey is a little bit undermined if it's already all planned by some benevolent being.
Is it just me though? Or I can't find it believable. Okay, if Celestia really is like one of the main overrules of Equestria, do you really think she has time in her schedule to literally watch Twilight do everything? Because I'm pretty sure she has like a lot of other things she needs to do besides just watching Twilight.
Something I just want to say quickly, Sonic the Dash in the chat, your headcanon. You could also say the same thing about Zakora as well. It's a bit big on that.
Yeah, he's in. You're referring to Iron Will's the last Minotaur and Zakora's the last Zebra.
Yeah.
Maybe. They're the only ones we've seen, and I wouldn't mind actually the interesting thing of having the potential for more Zebra or Minotaur characters just sort of showing up. A bit like in...
Sorry, go ahead.
I was just saying, like, I liked in Mystery of the Friendship Express, where at least they had Gustav Remand and Mooley and Mild. It has species variety that you can use in creating unique and genuine characters. So instead of making Iron Will unique, you can always just having him come back and making him special. I'd just be interested to see more Minotaurs and seeing the different kind of things you can do with them.
Yeah. I mean, if you go by the logic of the last ones left, you could say that Cranky and Muley are the last mules, or Gilda and I
What
forget.
about Matilda?
Yeah.
And they've often say they often do the joke of he's ugly as a mule, and then they come across to someone and they say, "Oh, no offense, you're welcome."
Well, it
That's a different
was
guy.
it's stubborn as a mule, and the Twilight's over, and he goes, "No offense, none taken."
Yeah. I think they've done that like once or twice or so. So.
I was during Applebug season.
Yeah, it's interesting questions I quite like often, just sort of like, is there a Minotaur society a bit like the Buffalo Society?
Yeah.
And how would that operate?
Yeah, we've definitely seen other societies within the show. Like Saddle Arabia, we know is its own sovereign country somewhere off in the distance. And we've also had things like the Crystal Empire that existed before Equestria. So Equestria is definitely not the only band of people out there.
And as I said earlier, the Crystal Empire.
Yes.
And like I said, if canon, the Equestria.
I think
It's one of those, is it canon, is it not?
Are they?
Oh, I was gonna say, I think with season 4 rolling around, we may or may not, I think we may or may not have some headcanons explained, or they might just go off in a completely different direction. The way that season 4 is shaping up right now, they're trying, I think, to give back, they're trying to, at least give the fans what they've wanted. They've wanted a Rarity episode, they've wanted more Applejack scene, they've wanted, something on Luna. It's just, I think they're finally listening again. They were doing that with season 3, but just not as much. I think now they're paying a little bit more attention.
Yeah, but that's sort of the problem that if we just see the headcanons that we envisioned unroll as we expect, it's not really that much fun of a journey. I like the writers sort of taking me by surprise and going in their own direction rather than taking cues from their audience, because then, I already know the common headcanons out there. There's sort of just, eventually when Discord's shown to be Starswell the Bearded, it's no some great reveal to me. It's just like, yeah, people have been talking about this for ages and they've just abdicated to them.
Yeah, at the same time, though, would we really want those headcanons, either answered as yes or no at all? Because isn't most of the fun just making our own decisions and thinking it out for ourselves?
Yeah.
Actually, yeah, Mia. Hey guys, what do you think about the Griffin Kingdoms? If we actually could get some Griffin Kingdoms, because it's not only been speculated by fans, but there's also evidence by it in the equestrian map. We're all just wondering, where is the Griffin population?
Oh, another thing I noticed interesting about the Griffins was in the Crystal Empire episode, outside of the library, there were 2 statues of Griffins.
Yeah, there were.
Going by the traditional library law of having 2 lions, wouldn't it have been 2 Minotaurs instead? Because they're the closest things to them.
Yeah, but if Griffins played some kind of role within the Crystal Empire...
Yeah. I always saw sort of more identity given to the Crystal Empire. How does the Crystal Empire even start? Were the Crystal Ponies first, or was it they turned crystal after a while? How did they end up in the frozen north, and who fabricated, and how do you fabricate those large structures are made of crystal?
Magic.
Yes.
Yeah, but what's the more precise details? Can the Crystal Ponies do that? And if so, how did they find out? If you need a unicorn, how did the unicorn find out? And what does that mean to the Crystal Ponies if their society is based on another race providing them crafting magicness?
And if they were provided it, why wouldn't anyone else out there have the same technology? I mean, we've never seen anything like that in Equestria.
Don't get me started on equestrian technology. I could rant for hours about this.
Here's one question about the crystal.
Seriously.
Here's one question about the crystal ponies. We see the crystal ponies, at least in Magical Mystery Cure, wandering around both Ponyville and Canterlot. I presume that's because the crystal ponies are now all over Equestria. That might be wrong, though. I'm not sure. Though,
a feeling about the crystal ponies, because as we know, when they went to the Crystal Empire, they became crystal, but when they returned back, they went back to normal. I have a feeling that I'm going to say it's the best way I can put it is some sort of radiation. It's now with them and it's with them permanently, hence why we saw crystal ponies at Canterlot during the coronation.
Maybe that would actually explain some things, because I was going to ask the question of, okay, if the crystal ponies today are wandering around, around the area outside the Crystal Empire, in the past, wouldn't they also be doing so? And when the place was banished, you would still think there's quite a few hundred crystal ponies in the world outside.
Well,
that they wouldn't die off.
if we went with something like it being radiation, that if you get radiation poisoning, it's going to stay with you for a while, but if you are not exposed to any more radiation, eventually it's going to go away if it doesn't kill you. I mean,
So,
as long as there's not a new source of radiation, you'll be radioactive for a while, but eventually it'll fade. It could be the same deal with the crystal ponies, where they just fade into normal ponies after a few years.
Possibly so, yeah. That would explain why there aren't any crystal ponies, after the banishment, or at least 1,000 years later.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that would be interesting, and maybe that would explain why the huge burst, the main characters all became crystal ones. The only weird thing about the radiation theory is...
I come back to hear something about radiation theory? What?
it's Spider-Man. It's Spider-Mares.
Well then.
Well, like a Batman Spider-Man team up.
To put you back up to speed, ToonKritic.
Mm-hmm. 1, 2.
Can you hear us, guys? Blargy, blargy,
We're still
blargy.
offline. Wait. Oh.
Anyone? No?
Hello?
Does anyone
I
have...
could hear you guys on the stream.
There we go.
Okay.
We
awesome.
live.
Oh,
There.
who's this joining? Oh.
CloudSky is, coming twice.
I still have you lagged on as you were on before, and your camera's still there frozen. We've got double you.
Guys, guess what? We have doubles cloudies.
Double trouble.
Double cloud all the way.
I'm poking myself in the face. How much fun is this?
Can you get rid of your clone?
Whoever's hosting the hangout, there we go.
There.
We're all good. Okay, so
we would welcome back, guys. This is the technical issues episode, it would seem. And CloudSky, you said you were just about to say something incredibly logical.
Yes. It's similar to the radiation thing I was talking about. What if something was to happen to the crystal ponies if they are away from the Empire for too long?
They would die? I don't know.
Not exactly go as far as dying, but more of... Excuse me, I've got a cough. They would lose something.
Have they been away from the crystal radiation for long when we first see them?
Yes.
So they're just sort of like boring, bland earth ponies with a particular colour scheme.
Yeah. They lose, and as they become a less interesting figure of the world, they become bland.
They already are bland.
Yeah. Every interesting feature about them. They've lost already.
They lose their shininess.
Yeah, but then how would they get more shiny before the crystal heart was plugged in, just by becoming happy?
Yeah, they lose all their memories. The crystal is like a battery.
It's a battery of radiation.
No, but like before they found the crystal heart and they were still running the crystal fair, the ponies got happy and then they returned to being somewhat shiny again.
Yeah.
How could that work?
My memories had returned.
That even though the crystal heart wasn't exactly there, it was still close enough to the point where it could still interact with them? Or...
Well, how did they... I'm just interested, like, how did they start figuring out this whole crystal ecology in the first place? Because it seems rather on the balance.
Example, hold on. This will do. This will be a good example. On my Wii remote.
Wii remote.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. For example, this is the Crystal Empire, right?
Okay.
This is the Crystal Heart. It's in the Crystal Empire there, but it's not working. It needs something to activate it. That active being, I don't have my Wii next to me, but that being big magic.
You're trying to explain the Crystal Empire with a Wiimote?
Right.
God.
It needed something to activate it. It needed a catalyst. But
That
nothing
is a pretty...
So it was just crap it on the floor. It was just there. It was just gathering dust. Yes, Stone, a Wii remote is the Crystal Empire. This is the Crystal Empire. Look at its
This is sort of simultaneously the most silly but also most fun headcanon I've seen in a while.
The Crystal
Heart is
Empire
basically a AA battery.
Yes.
Yes. A Duracell.
Yeah.
And that
Well,
is why
actually-
you don't see any crystal internet ponies.
Mm.
Uh,
They would look like lolcats and trolls.
One question I have was, why do the Crystal Ponies have such a large library?
Large.
Whether
What's that?
the
I
big,
am
huge, giant library of doom.
Oh, a library. I think you said library with a G.
Library?
What's a library?
A library is a small version of a liger.
Yes. No, a library
It-
where you keep the ligers, like a den.
It's in Pokemon X and Y.
Oh, yay! Pokemon
Okay,
X and Y.
back, sorry, I got a
Seriously,
phone call
don't, come on, don't talk about Pokemon right now.
Don't talk about them. I'm not looking forward to them.
Why? Come on, Mega Evolutions, man.
Because my crush is obsessed with them, and my birthday is 10 days later. She would still be constantly playing Pokemon and won't talk to me. My reason.
Come on, you could join your crush.
I have a DS.
So I
I
think
don't have
we've
a...
gotten pretty off topic here.
Yes.
Get back to the main topic. So, what makes...
So
a
yeah,
good
why do
headcanon?
they have such a large library?
Maybe
Sorry.
it's their memory storage location, in which like each some books of them basically have all their life's history behind them. Whenever like if they forget something about themselves, like they just go to the library and order the book with their memory.
It'd be funny if basically the library is their hard drive of the Wii. The library is the hard drive.
Are you going into analogies just because of me?
Yes. I like the analogy.
You know, it's just so weird that they have such a large library. I mean, Camelot had a huge library. They had an entire building devoted to it. It had an entire wing just for
Wanna go
Starsword
into
and
this?
Bearded.
I
Yeah.
have more technology. You want me to go into this?
It'd just be funny, like, you could just bring books to their library, and they just sort of instantly learn it.
yeah.
And if you wanted to just make... Or you could just write, like, maybe that's what Cadence did. She just took a piece of paper and said, I am your princess, and put it in the library.
Oh, that reminds me of a Jackie Chan Adventures finale episode. Like, remember that
I know what
one?
you're talking about.
Could you fill in those who don't remember so much?
Okay. Basically, there was this episode, like, after, like, they saved, the world from, like, Shendu and the 7 demons, like, Shendu decided, instead of possessing Valmont, I shall possess Jackie Chan. And so he actually did. and they decide to go all the way to Australia to find the secret cheap place, which has the Book of Life. And whatever is written there, it's like a destiny book. It's like the MacGuffin extraordinaire.
It is the MacGuffins.
And Jade happens to try to Jade joins Toro and Uncle, and basically they're trying to save the world from being rewritten as the demon's place. Jade happens to take a page out of that book that mentions her, and then when Jackie writes down that the demons actually won, then the whole world has changed and now demons rule over everything. Yeah, but Jade isn't affected by it because she took down the page of the book that has her information on it, so she wasn't affected by it because logic.
Is it bad that I remember all of what you're talking about?
You don't remember that?
I remember that. Is it bad that I remember everything that you're talking about?
Yes. Yes, what do you think about that? A book that basically tells you your destiny or what's happening.
Blarg. It'd be interesting, actually, I can't remember, isn't there lore like that, where, basically you have a book that it writes as time goes on?
You mean the never-ending story?
Possibly.
Never-ending story.
I remember
I know, in the Discworld novels, for example, Death has, a room full of all time turners with the things with sand in them.
Oh, yeah, I remember.
Yeah.
No, wait a minute. That was from Adventures of Billy and Mandy, wasn't it?
No, I said Discworld novels with Death.
It was in Grim Adventures as well, so I remember that
Yeah.
one.
Yeah. Have any of you guys read Mort?
No.
I've never
No, actually, that's a good book, but it's about a guy called Mort who is the apprentice of Death.
Oh.
What?
Yeah,
I think we better
and
stop this kind of here. We're getting really off topic now.
Yeah.
Just to quickly round up, he has a fight with Death in the room full of time turners, and some of them get smashed, and people just prematurely die for no reason.
Oh, Dark Cuba at its finest.
Wow.
Well, yeah, Death's slashing at him with his scythe and just accidentally slices into some time turners.
He's not doing his good job, isn't he?
Yeah, I was a bit pissed at the time because the whole time causality was about to be ruined.
So, back on topic. What makes a good headcanon? I think we've kind of explored the Crystal Empire enough. How about we get along to something else,
One thing in Season 4, they're showing, as we saw in the last bit, they have Alicorn, Princess Twilight, sort of standing there, and Princess Luna becomes Nightmare Moon.
Basically, everyone's headcanons on fire.
Yeah.
I'm actually more interested in the Super Mares episode.
Is that going to be a Superman episode? Because that feels really weird, for MLP, Supreme
Wait.
Candidate.
Remember Mare Duel? That was a Super Mare episode.
That was a what?
Well, considering the clip that we're seeing, Spike wakes up. I'm guessing it's he's entered into one of his dreams, and he's just woken up in one of his dreams. Basically, he's one of his own dreams.
Yeah, it's probably a dream, which makes that whole sequence just sort of narratively inconsequential. What do dreams have to do with anything?
Yeah.
No, I'm not
My
sure.
dreams have to do with friendship.
Spike had a really silly dream, yes, and it was really out of character for that universe.
What are you talking about? The ice cream drink that he had at the time.
No, it's
The
no,
ice
it's
cream
just
dream.
Oh.
Spike has very vivid dreams.
Yeah, he had
The ice cream dream is obvious. He likes ice cream. Not one But having some kind of superhero thing, unless there's actual superhero, they're going to have a superhero episode, and that's why he's dreaming of them being superheroes or something.
Well, it looks like a parody, to be honest. Looking over the costumes, it looks like we're going to have the OP one, which is Twilight. She's going to be like the Superman.
Of course.
Like has a lasso, so she's going to be Wonder Woman. Pinky's very white. So she's
So you're saying AJ was specialised in bondage?
What?
big Rooster.
Well, it's Wonder Woman.
I can roll with that.
Okay, that'll at least introduce a new character trait.
Yep.
I mean, if you're going with the Wonder Woman trait, you're going after Wonder Woman. She's the one with bondage.
And she's grown up on the island of women. This could go towards the whole Apple Dash fanfic.
Okay.
Okay, what hero is Rainbow Dash?
I think a Flash. Flash, definitely.
I think he's the Flash. The skin type one with all the lightning bolts on it. If somebody could get a picture of that in the chat, we could have a look at it then.
Rora says Pinky is Flash.
Actually, I have it on my iPod. I will...
Oh yeah. Wonder Woman has that lasso of truth.
Yeah, that's why I'm thinking Applejack.
Yeah, I was about to say Applejack as well.
Jeez Louise, my iPod is slow. Come on, one shot.
What about the Saddle Ranger or Fluttershy? What is she supposed to be?
Aquaman? I don't know.
The Indian, the Indian's superhero?
I've got it.
Apache?
I don't know. Okay, I've got it. Twilight looks like she's going to be an OP superhero. Pinky looks like the Flash. I'm going to say, this is going to be really vague, but Rainbow Dash actually looks like He-Man.
What?
He-Man!
My iPod just died. Damn
And
it.
I think your computer just committed suicide.
Wait, what?
After saying that statement.
To power your phone.
My
I want somebody in the chat to start drawing Rainbow Dash's team, man.
when they saw the whole what's going on thing.
Okay, if Fluttershy becomes Aquaman, then that's gonna really suck. Like, my power is to talk with the sea creatures. Really talk with them.
Not the whale.
How much are they really going to play with them being the references to the superheroes, though? Is it going to be like an episode-long dream? Or is
Maybe.
it just going to be a short little throwaway gag sequence?
It could be a parody.
Come on. I mean, like, we hear Tabitha St. Germain as the villain again.
That was Tabitha?
Yeah,
That was.
I did
that
not know
was.
that.
If you hear Nightmare Moon and that villain, that's exactly Tabitha acting.
Tabitha's got some range. I'll say that.
So, on topic about like them accommodating their headcanon, indeed seems like they're accommodating more AJ singing and showing us Nightmare Moon's backstoryness.
Yeah.
Which is indeed like what people have asked for, but I don't know, like we asked for AJ singing and we got racist bar. Was that really? I mean, it's headcanon made to fruition, but it didn't really work.
Is it beneficial? Because like I watched a video by the Ninja DC. He made one of the perhaps best videos ever about like fan pandering and its negative effects with Magic Duel. Like basically, he just mentions about every single flaw in Magic Duel, like why is Sakura teaching Twilight like magic tricks and that's not even going to be useful at all, as she says one of her most confusing lines ever.
Yeah.
I mean, he basically just goes in there, and even makes some references to like anime fan pandering. Which involved like a disturbing scene with a sea cucumber and sexual
Dragon Ball
innuendos.
references in that. I'm totally jumping in that boat.
Yeah, on the I'm not sure if I've said this spiel about already about fan pandering, but it's hard to necessarily always say this is fan pandering, that's not fan pandering, and fan pandering necessarily isn't a bad thing. Most forms of entertainment are trying to pander to their audience. They're trying to entertain us to a degree. So everything that entertains us is fan pandering. Generally speaking, though, when I describe people start complaining about fan pandering, it's because the stuff that they're trying to put into the show feels forced. It feels contrived. It doesn't actually work. It feels like they're putting in Trixie in Magic Duel because we wanted more Trixie. It's not actually because they thought, well, Trixie was such a great character, we had such a great story for her, but we may as well put her back in because the fans want her. Or Luna being the Princess of Dreams, or maybe even, it depends on how much importance how they play with the concept of
importance, because fan pandering, we all love the episode Last Roundup because of Deathly, right? That was somewhat fan pandering, but that was okay fan pandering.
Yeah.
You acknowledge that we exist, that Bronies exist, but Dopey didn't have anything to do with the episode.
Not so much.
No, actually, she was the one facilitating the actions of the Last Roundup. Without Durfee in the story, then Applejack wouldn't go to the ranch. It's a good example of fan pandering, actually.
No. AJ would have still. She's still going to the competition, but she wanted to give the savings to repair the town hall. So it wasn't a necessary agent, but it was just a plot element mixed in with the mix to make AJ particularly want to earn the money and go to the. I think at least it's the reason why she went to the cherry place, to earn the money that she promised she would get. Not go to the roundup, but to go to the cherry place.
Sometimes fan pandering actually affects the story, hence Magic Duel, hence Sleepless in Seattle.
Sleepless in Hollywood, man!
Don't forget the Discord return episode.
You consider that fan pandering?
Yeah, because Discord. It seems obvious that they are returning Discord along with many, like with Trixie and with Luna, because they're fan favorite characters. And
You're talking about Keep Calm and Flutter On?
Keep Calm and Flutter On.
Yeah, now I understand what you're talking about. I thought you meant
Elements of Harmony, a Return of Harmony. Sorry, Return of Harmony.
The Dash has posted the link to the MLP superheroes in the chat.
And they look pretty cool.
I got it here on my Google as well, in colour.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's cases like that where they return Trixie, they return Discord, rather than making new villains for a genuine new story. And those episodes were alright at times, but they weren't great. They weren't sometimes where they would introduce a whole new character and they'd be really interesting. It was very obvious that they're recycling what we like. And I actually like new content more. I like the show's creativity where they just have in new characters, new settings, new things going on, rather than recycling what we've had in the prior 3 seasons.
When they repeat it though, the appearances of Zakora, that is good fan pandering, because I don't think I know anybody who hates Zakora. She is a fantabulous.
Fantastic.
We get what you mean.
Fantastic. That's the one. Fantastic character. So I don't really consider any of her appearances fan pandering, because she seems to be useful in almost every occasion.
Yeah, she's the one. Sorry.
I was about to say bar the one with Spike in it, the sidekicks one, just for sidekicks. I was about to say bar that, but then I remembered she actually did affect Spike's attitude, my mistake.
Yeah, well, that was a bit pretentious when she was in the episode, particularly if she is actually someone of wisdom. That doesn't seem the wisest move to do. Unless that whole thing was a Batman gambit of her own, it's a very unwise thing to have someone who's who's going a bit all over the place, is a bit stupid, is a bit crazy, and you leave them out of your sight, that you don't have any control over them. That's not a wise thing to do. and like they imply, oh yeah, he needs the gems, blah 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 blah. Well, if that was the case, why didn't she take all the gems? Why only one gem?
I think, I think it's more of it's better to have loved type of thing. Like, it takes a small gem, but not all the gems, to realise that only a small thing can affect your entire motif.
Again, though, it's like you're doing one slight little touch, a little tweak, and are you sure that thing's going to work?
It was a big
no, I don't think.
Some risks.
Yeah, and that's not necessarily the wisest thing to do. If there's great potential for Spike becoming a great big giant dragon again with greed, you shouldn't be taking huge risks with that. I don't think.
Exactly, because that would become a threat. And of course, Sakura's being wise, that wouldn't be a very wise move of her. That could be considered a character flaw. Adding more depth to her character, giving her flaws, traits, etc., etc.
Yeah. I just like to know you said she's being wise, and that's very unwise of her. Contradiction?
Yeah. No, wait.
So, guys, I left a link here for like that bad/good fan service contradiction thing in chat.
Okay.
Well, I didn't get it.
No, it's in the group. It's in the live streams chat.
Oh. Actually, I have a question. What would this is a little hard to say. What do you think happens when the writers actually pick up on all of the headcanons and decide, well, since everybody's expecting that, why don't we just do a swerve? Do you think they do that just to mess with us, or do you think they actually want to do it but just want to try something different?
Maybe they want to try something different with it. Basically say, oh, you want all these headcanons? We'll give a special twist to them to actually make them even more enjoyable for you guys.
That would be nice.
It's not the writers spend all their hours on Tumblr reading all these headcanons.
Don't they stay away from some Tumblr posts? Really, they.
It would also help with legal issues in the sense if they are doing a very popular headcanons, they have to make sure very carefully that they don't make it obvious that they've seen what fan ideas there are out there, because otherwise there's a potential risk of being sued for copying people's work.
That would be a good idea. A good example of that would be Lyra knowing the acknowledgement and liking the antics of humans. If they were to do more with her, her reoccurring with that same sitting pose, it would be a nice little touch.
Yeah, that wouldn't be on the writing level, per se. I think that's more going to be the screenplay.
They focus on it as a trait, somebody passes and goes, why are you sitting like that?
I don't like little kind of touches like that because it doesn't actually add to the story. It's kind of a waste of time. It's sort of though it isn't too bad. I mean, it's a bit like the Derpy one where you do a little nod to the fan base and then you carry on with the storyline. It's a little nod. It wastes our time, but it's mostly hopefully harmless as long as it isn't overdone.
It's not over-exaggerated. If it's done right amount of caution, pacing, etc., it can be a nice nod. Just don't drag about it.
I think if it was done with a bit more air of class to it, I would quite like it. Just sort of, instead of just looking at them and saying, why are you sitting like that? It's just having it in the background, Bon Bon looking at her sitting like that in a curious way. Something for a fun background detail that it's subtle and something that we can pick up on, but it doesn't distract the story.
Yeah, I actually saw a piece of fan work that did that. It was a PNV of Trixie. It was something by the Tombstone. I think it's called Real Magic, where they picked up on how Tony's there's replicates of them in crowds. There was a Lyra standing each side of Bon, and whenever the scene would cut with that in the background, the antics would grow of them realizing that there's two of the same. One of them, I think Bon smacks one of the Lyras. Stuff like that is a nice nod.
Yeah, like honestly, people were upset that Lyra didn't appear in the Question Girls. Like,
Yeah, where was Lyra? I wanted my Lyra. Makes me
Yeah.
sad.
it's just very
So
depressing.
yeah. For
Yes,
elements, yeah.
Check it out. I love that song too. It's an amazing
Yeah.
song.
So
They'll
for
never give
elements,
us human Lyra.
yeah. So for elements a bit like what we were discussing earlier, sort of the talk about Nightmare Moon's backstory and stuff. That is indeed what people have been clamoring for more details. But it's kind of late to tell us about that. It's 4 full seasons since Nightmare Moon was introduced, and well, 3 full seasons. We're on to the 4th. Until they finally tell us some more details. It's a bit irrelevant at this point, or at least it seems so. And I don't think they have particularly building up anything.
It all depends what they do with that. Like, now that Twilight's a princess, it really is a big opportunity for her to be learning more about what has actually been going on in the inner workings of Equestria. Like, if Twilight was just like, oh, I'm a princess now, I get to rule, would we really have any change from her other than just her having another responsibility? Or would her becoming a princess have more weight to it? Like, she gets to learn things, she gets to actually know, like, this is why we do things.
Yeah. Though here's the thing, like if you're going to talk like about Equestria's past, I'd be interested a bit more instead of just here in the present and 1,000 years ago. What happened in that intermediary time? What does actually what role is Twilight going to do? What role has actually Celestia been doing all this time? Starting 1,000 years is a big, huge gap, and it's almost a bit irrelevant now that it's 1,000 years in the past. Like, there's been so many years in between. Surely something has happened. Surely some other things have happened in that time. Surely there's something to be said, or if we talk about 1,000 years ago in humanity's past, what was that? Some medieval times, and whilst there are a few things here and there that's sort of impactful, it's really distant.
Okay. Oh, I have an idea on whose headcanons we should talk about next.
Mm-hmm.
Brony Curious's headcanons.
Alright.
Remember his headcanons about Trixie's redemption and Scootaloo's sisterhood's social event?
Yeah.
No.
I remember that.
Fill those in who aren't.
All right. So here's the thing, guys.
Let's do one at a time.
Yeah. For the Scootaloo thing, he made like a 75-page picture book on DeviantArt that states like Scootaloo doesn't have a sister. It's like the second sisterhood social event, and this time like Rarity is complying with Sweetie Belle this time instead of like ignoring her. And while she's all by herself, then Rainbow Dash comes in, and then they have like a sentimental like a flying scene in which like she's flying over the clouds, asking her to like be sort of like her pseudo sister, and that's generally what happens in the thing. And it kind of did get validated in Sleepless in Ponyville at the end.
So many in that episode.
What?
The feel
Yeah,
of that episode.
I know. I love just watching people suffer in pain. I love the feels of sadism feel through my bones.
Yeah.
Oh, I can tell.
Yeah, it was a great sadist episode. And it's so great, like it's a really ironic twist at the end where the actual conclusion should be that she died, but instead it just shows people as who they are when they're like, yay, happiness, woo, the journey doesn't follow from the conclusion, but we're completely shallow.
Remember, this is a kids show, Byter.
Yeah.
Can't really put death into the situation.
Yeah, but it is the natural conclusion.
It is. You've got a point there.
That would be actually quite a bold step by the writers. Like, all this time people have been laughing and joking and enjoying the journey of her suffrage. And in the end they realise, oh crap, I've just been watching her suffer and no one's done anything about it.
Going back to the concept of headcanons, which this whole thing was about,
Mm-hmm.
Applejack parents.
Or here's just a quick thing about Scootaloo, since we were on the topic.
Go for it.
One point I liked, at least a little touch about her character, was that she always liked to wear a helmet when she was scootering around.
Mm.
And I thought that would have been an interesting thing, like, why does she wear the helmet? Is that because she's a safety-conscious person? Or because a parental figure or whatever told her to be safe in the past?
Well, like she has a sentimental value of trying to stay safe.
Possibly, yeah. Like, where did she get the helmet from? Why does she wear it? And that is a question worth answering. Sleepless in Ponyville, of course, because it's Sleepless in Ponyville, kind of undermines this headcanon in the sense that it starts off with her rampaging through the town and killing, well, intertwining two pony spines. Yay!
Animation. It's a cartoon. You can do basically what you want.
Yeah, it's just though Scootaloo's always been like a very reserved character, and I like the characterization of her being, well, she was safe on the scooter and she had the helmet, but in this one she's just kamikaze and doesn't seem to care for the lives of others.
Well, she's pulling off stunts, hoping to get Rainbow Dash's attention.
Is she there? That's not, I mean, she just seems to be going along all around the place. It doesn't seem like clearly that. I mean, Rainbow Dash does come along and say nice moves, but...
And then you see a new... right to some head.
Oh, look at this. Oh, look at this. Look at this headcanon, Byter. Byter is a human and calls himself a robot to avoid anyone taking a moral stand on his words.
Or just that when people try and take a description of who I am, they are generally going to be wrong. And a robot is the easiest way for them to understand it.
My headcanon, Byter was actually King Crystallis. That's why he's such a sadist.
I've
Don't
not
you
said
say
exactly. That was why I was uncomfortable when watching Sleepers.
I know, I'm just teasing with you, Byter. I'm kidding. you.
Okay. Yeah, it was just you were saying, for example, the feels. So it doesn't necessarily write you off as a sadist if you didn't enjoy the humorous bits, but it does
I
at least
didn't-
write you off as color.
I actually didn't enjoy Sleepers in Ponyville. I didn't actually enjoy Sleepers in Ponyville as much. It just felt kind of like boring, like seeing like Scootaloo like going through like all those tortures events, as you would put it, Byter. Like I didn't really see like any emotional advancement. When I saw Luna there, I was like, okay, Luna.
I found it weird in the sense that if you're going to try and make us, like, I knew what they were going for. The reason they did that episode is pandering very much to what the audience wanted. It's very much the headcanons of the audience that Scootaloo gets Rainbow Dash because she's been obsessing over hers for so long. The difficulty being, though, that this was very much a pandering episode that didn't think of how to present its material. And that meant that it basically just padded out the time with Scootaloo being tortured for the majority of it before giving us the Happy's ending. And most people just sort of sat through the torturedness because they knew the conclusion to the headcanon that was inevitably coming. If they did that cool twist at the end where we were like, okay, she's going to get with Rainbow Dash, she's going to get with Rainbow Dash, she's going to get with Rainbow Dash. Oh, what? My headcanon. My headcanon pandering episode.
Remember what the next episode was, though?
Which one was that?
It was Wonderbolt Academy.
Oh, woo.
Scootaloo.
A male has indeed a portal to Equestria and is being a D word for not sharing with us.
Wait, what?
A male has indeed a portal to Equestria and is being a D for not sharing with us.
You'll never get my portal.
I want that
Fine.
portal, damn it.
I would have thought it'd be an interesting thing, just like a punishment in Equestria now. Just, you're a bad person, push you through it into the portal. Just like, go fend for yourself in the human world. Enjoy.
Oh, and listen, headcanon. Unova doesn't have a real body. Every time he is on camera, he uses a body font of his victims.
Missed that one, did you?
Nobody has a headcanon for me. That's either a good thing or a bad thing.
That's,